I'm Lauren with Pack Hacker, and in this video we're taking a detailed look at the Bellroy Classic Sling 3-liter, which I've been testing for the last 2 weeks. Let's dive in. The material on this feels nice and durable. This is made with their Canva weave. I'll bring it up a little closer so you can get a closer look at that. It's a recycled polyester that's made with like 100% recycled plastic water bottles. Nothing crazy in terms of that construction on the outside. It does have a really kind of soft feel to it. I'm not gonna say it feels like a brushed fabric, but it is like a matte finish. It feels, like I mentioned, soft to the touch. So it does feel pretty premium. The front as well, this Bellroy logo here is a leather logo, and then we have a leather zipper pull up here as well. So it does, I guess with Bellroy, we're kind of used to those like premium materials and premium construction, and this definitely fits the bill on that. But otherwise, it's a very simple outside. We have the little owl logo on the back, Bellroy in the front, like I mentioned. Otherwise, there's not really much else going on. We do have OOK zippers, which are great. I mean, they've been working really well for us. We have no terrible experiences with them. So, you know, over the course of my testing, I didn't have any issues with feeling like the zippers were sticky or anything like that, which is our primary concern. And even when this thing was fully packed out, I had no problem getting it shut. The strap on this is super simple. It's just a soft nylon material. Bringing it up a little bit closer to the camera, you can see it almost like it's shiny and it almost looks soft, and that's because it is. It's a very soft material. Even when I was wearing it with a tank top or something, it wasn't uncomfortable brushing against my skin. There is no padding, as you can see, but because of the size of the sling, I didn't really feel like I needed it. I think it would have just added extra bulk and been a bit overkill. There is no buckle, so with this, it is just a single closed loop, so you have to slip it over your body every single time you want to put it on, which honestly, I didn't really mind. The only times that it was a little bit, I guess, like not as great was when I wanted a little bit more space to put it on, because sometimes I wear them pretty close to my chest, and if it was too tight to comfortably slip over my shoulder, I'd have to extend that out and then put it on and then tighten it once I had it on. The other thing that happened a lot, actually, which I guess that you can see that happen right now, when I just expanded the strap as it was, it ended up folding over here, which got really annoying because then whenever I went to go put it on, like just before I would put it on, I'd have to readjust that and like undo it down there so that it wasn't twisted up. To me, it wasn't like I don't know, it wasn't horrible, but it just was kind of annoying to have to do so frequently, because I did notice that it did it a decent amount whenever I would, you know, tighten, or I guess it was more of like when I would loosen this up that it actually became a problem. The last thing here is this, what they call like their self-compressing design. They say it self-compresses when the bag is empty, so if you had fewer items in here, theoretically, it would tighten. I honestly didn't find that did that at all, which to me wasn't that big of a deal. This just was sort of extra material. I think it just, I don't know, it gives it kind of a nice look, so you'll see what it looks like on. But sometimes I found that when, like, there needed to be at least a couple of things in here in order for that to actually work, or else the bag was just so light it sat forward regardless and it didn't like naturally compress. But we've seen this design work effectively on other bags. I think maybe the way that this one is constructed, it just wasn't as effective here, but that design also doesn't get in the way. So it's not taking away from the bag, it just wasn't really adding that much either. The sling, when it's on, fits very classically like a sling, which goes very well with the name, but it's not really anything particularly special. Like I mentioned, this 3-liter size does feel very, it feels like a good size. I felt like I had a ton of room in here without it feeling overly bulky once I actually put it on. So this is it on my front, and then I can easily switch it around to my back. The nice part about not having a buckle is that it's not really getting in the way anywhere. It's not bulky at your side and going up on your shoulder versus, you know, being down by your hip or maybe being in the center of your back or something. And then this buckle strap adjustment is back here, but it was pretty easy to adjust this quickly when I actually had it on. So overall, you know, I think it has a very sleek look to it depending on the color you get. I think it's like super versatile, and this design feels very everyday carry friendly. If you're finding this video helpful, hit subscribe so we can keep making content to help you travel smarter. Looking at the main compartment, there's only 2 areas. So there's this back zippered pocket and then the main compartment. I'm gonna look at the main compartment first really quick. So this one actually has a dual zipper design. So there's a zipper pull on either side, meaning that you can either open it from the left or you can open it from the right. What's nice about this is depending on if you carry it over your right or left shoulder, there's always going to be a zipper at the top that's easy for you to access versus some zippers. If you put it over one shoulder, the zipper's up at the top, and then if you switch it, then the zipper ends up down at the bottom. So, or, front to back type of a thing that, you kind of always have a zipper where you want it to be, or I guess the closest that it can be to your hand. Going into the main compartment here, you can see I have everything pretty much stacked up in here, and this is about as much as I packed consistently. So this is about as max as I wanted to pack it out. You do have a little bit of extra space to play with if you wanted to add even more than this, especially with this top area. Like if it was wintertime and I was carrying a pair of gloves would fit great up here, or even like a smaller, more packable hat. So it does feel very roomy. What I do really like about this main compartment is this back phone pocket. So I'll show you what that looks like a little bit more when this main compartment's empty, but I wanted to grab my phone really quick to show you kind of where else you could put it. So I put it in here mostly because this back zippered pocket technically does fit it. So I have an iPhone 13, just a regular one. And with this, when you zip that up, like it technically fits in there with the phone case, but it was a little bit difficult to get in and out. So you saw that like it was easy for me to pull it out from this side, but it runs into the zipper track on this side. So it does feel very much like you're like basically at the max, right? Speaking of max, we have a Pro Max iPhone model here. And this one technically fits in as well, but without a case. So this zips up just barely. So if you have a phone case on a Pro Max, that's not really gonna fit super well. Additionally, passport. They show a passport going into this pocket on their website, but this is a passport size notebook. Just measured it before shooting just to be sure. And this doesn't fit inside and you can't zip it up. So this, I wouldn't really even call a laptop pocket. Usually not a laptop pocket, a passport pocket. And that's usually what these functionally are designed for. If it's not a phone, it's usually like a passport or something similar. So if you were looking for something that could hold that back there, this is not it. You could put it in the main compartment, but just something to keep in mind. I'm gonna stick the phone back in here. I ended up keeping this pretty much empty. There's a little bit of padding on this backside as well. I think they said it was like 3 millimeters of padding. And that is so that if you do put a phone in here, it's protected and it doesn't like butt up against your chest or something when you're wearing it. I found that to be effective. I just didn't want to put my phone in there because it was a little bit harder to access. So what I ended up doing was mostly just sticking my receipts in there. So when I was out and running errands and I got, the big CVS receipts that are like 100 miles long, I'd shove it in there and then just dump it when I got home, which was actually kind of nice because then it wasn't just stuffed in my bag or stuffed in my wallet. I had like a dedicated spot for it. So with this main compartment, I put my phone back in here. In here, I have a bifold wallet. I have a 10,000 milliamp hour portable battery bank there. And I have a pair of sunglasses in a very slim sunglasses case that fit really well in there. And then there's also a key leash. This key leash isn't like stretchy or anything. It's just a simple carabiner closure. This feels like an aluminum material. Very easy to get your keys on and off, but this length was long enough to where I could keep the sling on and unlock my door. I had to like bend a little bit, but it was a good length and it didn't feel overly long inside the main compartment either. With the main compartment kind of being empty here, you can see it has a decently like flat base down here, and I felt like what I really liked the most about this Sling was how easy it was to load, because it doesn't stand up on its own or anything, I guess maybe without the phone in there, but when I opened this up to get my gear in here, everything felt like it just like slotted in very nicely. And maybe that's just by nature of me having more rectangular things, but it felt really roomy in here for being a 3-liter Sling. I never had to sacrifice bringing something. The other thing is the only other storage in here is this mesh pocket. They say you can put a pair of sunglasses in here, which theoretically you can, but I liked keeping them separate because there's no other pocket for small gear in here. So I wanted to put things like my chapstick, some hair ties, and my headphones in a dedicated like zippered pocket since there wasn't any other pocket for that. And this is where I ended up putting it. So you could theoretically put your sunglasses in here even without a case. It is elevated a little bit. Oh, I guess no, this one isn't elevated. I thought it was. This one goes all the way down to the bottom. So theoretically your sunglasses will be down at the bottom too. So sometimes Bellroy will have the elevated mesh pocket to keep your sunglasses out of the crush zone. And then this back pocket, this has a little bit of structure up top. If I squeeze this, you can see it's almost like a plastic bit of material going across the top. And this actually makes it so that it gives it a little bit of structure, so you can slip your phone in without your phone like falling forward or pushing the pocket forward, but it stays pretty tucked out of the way. So I think they did this really effectively. There's no padding or anything right here. There is padding, like technically, if you're feeling the padding back on this side, but like there's not, I don't know. I never really feel like a phone pocket needs that much padding, to be quite honest with you, so it didn't really bug me. But with this, every time I put a phone in here, it just kind of slid right in. And then same with the Pro Max fits in here with room to spare. So if you had a case, that wouldn't be a problem either. So overall, pretty roomy sling. And then same thing with a lot of Bellroy bags just have this in their like kind of garment tag in here. This is actually a spot where you can slip a smart tracker. My finger is not going in there, but you can actually, it's like a little pocket. So it's hidden. If you want to keep track of your sling, that's a great place to put it. But overall, I think that if you're looking for an everyday carry sling that doesn't feel too bulky, but can still fit a decent amount of gear, this is a really great option for that, just because I never felt like I was running out of space. I felt like I, had enough space to fit everything that I needed to, even if for like a longer day out. So there you have it, the Bellroy Classic Sling 3 liter. Thanks for keeping it here at Pack Hacker, your guide to smarter travel, and we'll see you in the next one.